I'm going to ask for an extension on this line of thinking. You operate in over 100 different countries. So your contact center, I can only assume, is not only employees of the company, but you're using BPO partners, you're using outsourced partners. You have to, all those different languages, all those different countries and everything. So the importance of the voice of the customer data also has to be mined across these BPO partners. So I guess the question here is, how important is the strategic role of these BPO partners? Because a lot of BPO partners are brought on because I've got to cover these geographies and these languages or time zones that we don't want to cover from our home office, and they're cheaper. So let's save money and let's kind of like just make sure that we're covering all those questions that are coming in. But I would imagine that is a significant portion of the voice of customer data. So to the person who is making the decision on hiring a BPO partner, what do you want to say to them in terms of how they should be evaluating these BPO partners?
Well, I think it's not necessarily my area of expertise when it comes to these kinds of like evaluation of different BPOs. And there's people who are much more experienced than that. But what I can say is that we work very closely with our contact center partners to benefit from the voice of consumer analytics. So it's not something that we build for ourselves internally and don't share externally, let's say. So anything that we're building that is, for example, able to summarize the free text of survey feedback, that's something that could be used in a way to understand, are people happy with the product experience? Are people happy with the delivery experience for the supply chain team and so on? But of course, we can also use it to understand, are people happy with the agent experience? And if you're anyway building tools or using large language models to summarize free text, and you're asking about, tell me everything that people like and dislike about the products and like and dislike about the delivery. What do they like and dislike about the agents as well? Is it something that we could concretely pass back to our BPOs? Or even better, enable the supervisors in the same way that we enable the product managers, democratize the data in that way. So everyone is using the same capabilities that are being built centrally by a voice of customer operations team, if we talk in that way. And they're using them for their own kind of benefit. And ultimately, everyone is looking for, how can I benefit from something? So the supervisors no longer need to manually read the feedback that's coming in, or it can help summarize the next kind of training topic that should be given to the agents by the people responsible for the learning and the training in the contact centers, because you can start to concretely see trends. This gets maybe more operational. It's not even voice of customer, but just basic things like which products have the most handling time. That one's pretty operational. So you can start to look at that, but you can also start to look at things like not handling time, but satisfaction, or just the customer effort score, for example. Which products have sort of viewed the highest effort score, and then sort of take that as an angle that isn't purely operational. It's based on the customer feedback, but to use that to feed back into the sort of prioritization for training. The main thing that I would say about BPOs is find people who are not just looking at the operational data, find people who are very curious to follow it through to the end and understand the impact that ultimately that engagement had on the consumer, whether that's someone who was happy with the service and maybe ended up converting, or it wasn't, and what can we do to improve that together. It's really someone who will be a partner through and through to the end of whatever that voice of consumer insight ends up being.